David Axelrod, Howard Wolfson,
Harry Reid, Fiorina,
Chris Dodd, Terry McAuliffe,
Terry McAuliffe,
Roy Blunt, and Chris Van Hollen,
John Edwards.
She's been making a pretty compelling case for her candidacy. The problem is, I think you can no longer make a compelling case for the math.
After Tuesday, she wins, big victory, 2-1 in West Virginia, and that's her opportunity to go out on a high note.
Absolutely not. My hope is that they will. My expectation is that they will, and we are committed to seating Florida and Michigan.
Even if it means going to the convention.
We are committed to seating them.
but you take half.
Well, I'm going to let the rules and bylaws, it's up to them to make that decision. But the rule is 50%. Had they done 50%, Tim, you and I wouldn't have this conversation today. They took away 100%. I did think it would probably be over after February 5th. I think once we had Iowa, I think Iowa was a key determinant. And he got a lot of energy and excitement coming out of Iowa. And then he went off from there, and she stayed in. I think if you asked me one simple reason today, I'd say that, he won Iowa.
Should you have avoided Iowa?
I think you have to compete everywhere. What she was paraphrased was an Associated Press article, as you know. But no, listen, she has reached out from the beginning of this campaign. We've received 70+% of the Latino vote in this country. Her message has reached out to everybody.
The thesis itself was wrong. The words weren't well chosen, but the thesis was wrong.
To expect her within 48 hours or 72 hours to reverse field, to stop everything and go in a different direction is asking way too much, in my view. Give her a chance to breathe, to settle down, to recognize what's going on here. She'll make the right choice. I know her pretty well.
Is that if she makes the case for herself, which she's completely entitled to do, she has to be really careful that she's not damaging our prospects, the Democratic Party, and our cause for the fall.
Are you going to endorse anybody at this point?
I might. I don't think it's a big deal.
But I'm saying that we should just relax because Bill Clinton didn't get the nomination till June 2nd. The primary is going to be over June 3rd.
Their belief is that politics, at least in their life, has proven that things happen. That if you stick around beyond when people think you should stick around, things can develop, things can change rapidly.
How deep in debt is the Clinton campaign?
We had about $10 million in debt as of the last filing.
And would you add to that the $11 million that Clinton has?
No, separate.
So, well, that's separate. So we're talking basically about $20 million in debt.
Correct.
Will the Obama campaign help Clinton pay off the millions of dollars in debt she's racked up?
You know, Chris, she hasn't asked, and we haven't offered, and I think that discussion is way premature. Under any scenario, no one said that we were going to transfer money from the Obama campaign to the Clinton campaign. We obviously need the resources we have.
Right. We in the House don't think that that's a good idea. It's too short-termy. It's a gimmick type of approach.
And these are the outlines of the fight that the Republicans will take. They're going to take her playbook, and they're going to craft John McCain into the candidate of the working class.
This is an area, as you and I both agree, where John McCain differs pretty substantially from the administration. Well, first of all, John has been consistently pro-life. He also, as you perhaps know, has said that he supports stem cell research. I think in terms of the Republican platform, there is a process in place where delegates work their will.
Well, I think what John McCain wants to do is continue these pro-growth tax policies that our friends on the other side have been talking about. But that's what President Bush wants to do, too. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. So it would be, in effect, a third Bush term when it came to pro-growth tax policies. It would be. I think it would be.
Those are private in nature, but let me just say this. John McCain was a different John McCain in those days than he is now. Those are the days before he wrapped his arms around George Bush. I mean, in those days, he did a few independent things.
People of this country deserve a serious discourse, and it shouldn't be limited necessarily to 3 kind of very regimented debates in the fall. We ought to begin sooner, and we ought to have a free-flowing conversation.
Big Russ, if he were sitting here today, nothing's impossible. Jack McAuliffe, if you're with us today, you're probably both in heaven right now, Tim, probably having a scotch, looking down and saying, you know what, this fight goes on. It's good for the Democratic Party. Millions of people coming out to vote. It's exciting.
Big Russ is in the Barca Lounge are still watching this.
Yeah,
God bless him.
Yeah.
Let me show you what Bill Clinton said in West Virginia.
Talk too much.